Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Rouslin's 3-Ball. I am, of course, your host, Jason Rouslin. You can find me on Twitter at DFSGolfer23 if you have any questions or just want to interact with me. Of course, if you're an Awesemo.com Plus member, you can find me in the Slack channel as well. So this week, we've got something a little bit new as it's the first tournament heading to Detroit that we've seen in quite a while, maybe ever. And the first time that it'll ever be played on this golf course, Detroit Golf Club. So, without further ado, we can get me off the screen here and learn just a little bit about, learn a little bit about this week's tournament. It is the Rocket Mortgage Classic. As I just mentioned, it is being played. Oh, we're going to learn about Hideki in a second. Sorry, my finger slipped there. The course, it's Detroit Golf Club. As I just mentioned, it's a par 72 Donald Ross design measuring 7,300 yards. Now, what they've done here is there's actually two courses, a north and a south. And they've taken mostly from the north, but they've taken a few holes from the south. They've made it 7,300 yards by length in a few and using a few tee boxes. And as I would calling it, playing cross-country golf. Now, I used to do that when I was an assistant golf pro and just kind of make up my own holes. And they've kind of done that in a way, but made it so that it should be fun and present a good viewing experience for all those attending. As I just mentioned, it's a Donald Ross design. It's known for its undulating greens and positional tee shot. 7,300 yards for par 72 is rather short, not overly short, of course, like we've seen the last 2 weeks, but the long hitters should be able to take advantage a little bit more this week. The tournament itself, it was the Quicken Loans National out in Maryland for quite some time and bounced around. It's been scrapped in favor of the event here. Of course, 28 of the top 100 in the world are here to compete. DraftKings top prize is $100K to first. FanDuel's is $25K to first. And they're actually paying out 25% in that $9 their big cheap PP, which is different. It's 5% more, which could make a significant difference. So we'll see if that changes things a bit. So let's go learn about the players. Sorry there, just took a little sip of water. We're going to learn about Hideki Matsuyama. This guy statistically has been on the cusp. 10,200 on DraftKings, 11.9 on FanDuel. 21st at the U.S. Open, 6th at the Memorial. Just couldn't get his around the green game up to par at the U.S. Open to finish highly and to save those bogeys. He had enough birdies, but just couldn't scramble to save par and ended up making too many bogeys to catch Gary Woodland, who made very few bogeys and who was also in the field this week, a couple weeks ago. So statistically, he ranks 4th in the year on the approaches and 26th off the tee. So a good starting block certainly for your lineups this week. Next guy we're going to learn about is Patrick Reed. That's a pretty good picture of Patrick Reed doing his signature little sound there and motion. 9-3 on DraftKings, FanDuel 11-5. The recent form for Patrick Reed is 30th at the Travelers and 32nd at the U.S. Open. And he really does most of his damage all on and around the greens. That's where he's been peaking recently, as he ranks 50th in strokes gained putting on the year, or I should say in the top 50, and over the last 3 starts is improved on that. So it does a lot of work around the greens. Oh, sorry for Patrick Reed. Next guy we're going to learn about is Matthew Wolff. I might as well just bring him in since I scrolled to his name there. Now, Matthew Wolff, it's very interesting. If you haven't heard of this guy before, he is a sophomore, or was, I should say, a sophomore at Oklahoma State. He decided to turn pro at the age of 20. He was absolutely tearing up the ranks in college. His scoring average was ridiculous. Him and his teammate Victor Hovland, who's also in the field this week, both highly sought after. And so Matthew Wolff last week, he made the first cut, missed on the MDF, and came in 84th at the Travelers. But the thing is with that course, it took the best weapon that he has, which is his ability to drive the ball very far and very straight out of his hands. This week, he should be able to do that. 7,500 on DraftKings, a very reasonable price. 9,400 on FanDuel. Obviously, statistically, we don't have enough rounds yet. He did play at the Waste Management and came in 50th there. So I will tell you that he gained... He ended up losing strokes off the tee last week, and that's not going to happen this week with the wider fairways and, of course, the length of the holes, being able to take out driver rather than having to lay up a lot of the times like he did last week. So that should give you a pretty good starting to your lineups this week. I know that It's a little bit of an off week in terms of the amount of players, with only 28 of the top 100 in the world here. You're going to have to dig in and doing that research. So it's a great week if you're not an Awesemo.com Plus member to go ahead and subscribe. Using, of course, promo code FREEBALL should give you a pretty good discount there for your first month. So hopefully you've enjoyed this again. Like and subscribe. Go ahead and contact me any which way you would find is easiest for you. And until next time, everybody, cheers. Thanks for joining.